We're at THQ's UFC event in Las Vegas, and we're talking to William Schmidt. And William, what's your role in this game?
Well, in the game, I'm a coach,
Yeah?
technically. I'm what's called the director of production. I'm the executive producer on the project, basically.
Okay. I played last year's game. What is different for somebody who purchased last year's game and is thinking about purchasing this year's?
You know, that's a really good question. We went into this year thinking, what's going to make someone plop down another $60 for this game? We did not hold back. This game is completely revamped. We retouched all the animations, added a huge amount of animations, changed the fighting mechanics, made it much smoother, added a huge single-player career mode, just really ballooned that, gave your player a voice, let him respect, disrespect, his opponent. There's so many features. Where do we start?
I noticed the presentation is really different. You have the announcers. I noticed actually they're in the game, which is very different.
Yes, many parts of the game actually. In event mode, it's just like a UFC broadcast, including Rogan and Goldberg breaking down the matches in front of the octagon before each match. Rogan will actually talk to you after a fight or announce the weigh-ins. So we have there's a lot more participation by these guys in the game this year. They're on camera a lot more this year. Mm-hmm. As we evolve the product, we're going to continue to, become closer and closer to what you actually see on UFC broadcasts.
I noticed there's some Mass Effect inspired choices that you can decide on. Can you tell us about them?
I haven't played Mass Effect. I do plan on playing Mass Effect, but I've been working so much on this game.
Good excuse.
But I suspect that you're actually talking about the decision-making system. Mm-hmm. So as Rogan actually poses questions to you, you get to choose how to answer them.
Okay.
So you can be respectful to your opponent. You can disrespect your opponent. You can, give it up to the fans and let them know how much you appreciate them. You can give it like a generic response. You can, give a response to your sponsor. Okay. In certain cases, you can actually call fighters out if you're, contending for a belt.
Right. What are the disadvantages and advantages of, being the bad boy versus being the good sport?
Well, it's actually pretty fun. There's a lot of calculations that happen under the hood. Besides the game is watching you system, which watches everything you say and do and actually creates events for you based on that. Fighters will be more apt to help in camps, or you can form rivals that get you more value to your cred or popularity. We've introduced a new stat this year, popularity, which is used to determine how soon you get a belt shot.
Okay.
So lots of under the hood stuff based on those responses. So they're not innocuous. I wouldn't ignore or just disrespect everybody, because stuff will happen.
What new game modes do you have that will entice returning players?
Well, we actually wanted to make it so you can play more of the UFC roster fighters in various modes. So this year we introduced a title mode.
Okay.
The title mode is basically select a weight class, start up at the bottom of that division, and work your way all the way through it, and obtain the belt. Okay. Right. So it's like an arcade ladder mode, almost like as if you were playing Street Fighter. You get to work your way through the roster and fight that big boss and Bison or something along those lines, mm-hmm. and take that belt, and now you own the belt. Once you own the belt, we unlock another mode, which is called Title Defense Mode. This is more of a survival mode. You hold the belt for as long as you can. If you hold it for 8 to 12 fights, you actually win the mode.
Nice.
So we also have what's called an event mode. The event mode lets you set up an entire card and have it play AI versus AI, or you can play each one of the matches versus an AI, or even against another opponent.
Okay.
You can go online and download upcoming cards, like UFC 114. You can say, hey, I want to get this card, download it, and play it. And then we'll actually pay attention to what you're doing. That data will feed back to our servers, and we can say, oh, well, prediction is that this fighter will win by this type of move in this round, right? So we really love our community. We really love our fans. We want to pay attention to what they're doing. We listen very much to them in our design decisions. So we just want to get more integrated with our community.
Can you tell us about the online modes?
Yeah, this year we introduced online camps, which is the equivalent of guilds, right? In the UFC, camps are very, very important. Who you train with basically makes you as a fighter, right? The better people that you train against, the better you're going to be. So we really wanted to reflect that in our game as well. And again, hearkening onto that community, we really want people to get involved and communicate with one another and compete against each other and train with one another. So this year we introduced the Fight Camp. The Fight Camp allows you to basically turn off the clock, turn off the ref, turn off the damage, get in there with fellow Fight Camp members and just train, practice, right? It also allowed you to go online with your banner and your guild name, your Fight Camp name, and compete against other camps and work your way up a leaderboard, unlocking milestones along the way, which unlocks more options for your camp, and eventually you become an elite camp.
How about for new players? Do you have? Yeah, I noticed you have a training mode, and I was skilled enough from reviewing last year's game to skip it. But for new players, is the training mode as complex to get them caught up?
Well, the game is very complex. It's easy enough to pick up and play, but when you really get down to it, there's a lot to the game. And if you want to learn it all, you're going to have to play through the training mode. And the train mode, it's that standard. Here's a video. Here's how you do it. Now you do it. Okay, good. Let's move on to the next thing. So if you got the patience to sit through it, you'll learn the game pretty well. Or you can just go online and play with a buddy and say, hey, let's scrap. Hey, look, I did a half circle here, and this is what I did. And you'd be like, how the heck did you do that?
Yeah.
It's the fun of discovery, right? It's how I learned how to play Street Fighter.
How about new MMA fighters to the roster?
We added 20 plus fighters to the roster. We took our divisions from 16 MMA fighters per weight class to 20 this year, so we're expanding the roster across the board.
What's the total number?
100 plus.
Who is your favorite fighter to play as?
There's a lot of great fighters out there. I like Frank Mir.
Okay.
Great stats. For a heavyweight, great submissions. Nogueira is also like that. And I like Anderson Silva for his striking. John Jones has very unique strikes, elbows and stuff like that, so he's another one. I don't know if I could pick a favorite. There's a lot of good ones out there. Mike Calf is my favorite, my creative fighter.
Okay.
So, but UFC related, I'll go with Frank.
Good choice. Can you tell us more about the creative fighter?
Yeah, last year you were kind of restricted in your creative fighter. Pick a grappling style, pick a striking style. That's who you are, right? This year we really wanted to push that further, so we basically said, in real mixed martial arts, you can pick and choose to learn from this style or that style and what you take away from it. That's reflected in our game by basically allowing you to take any move from any style and apply it to your fighter. So we have hundreds of moves, 400 or 500 moves that you just go through and fill your slots in your fighter. So you can really create a fighter that is personalized to yourself. This is, again, going to spur a lot of discussion, we think, in the community about what makes a great fighter. Do I need the John Jones over elbows, or do I need the Chuck Liddell, big punches over the top, the overhand rights? You get to decide, you get to build it. Lots of discussion points there.
How about new technology? Like motion control is going to be the big thing at E3 this year. In the future, would you ever be interested in incorporating that into another sequel or 3D gaming? I noticed we're playing on Sony TVs, and so many developers are, jumping on that bandwagon. Is that something that you'd be interested in?
We certainly want to keep our options open there and look into what we can do. Natal and Move, great platforms. Afraid I'm going to, get two brothers, in a living room throwing each other to the ground. Right. We got to watch out for that. So we need to be very careful with the way we design things. So we're definitely exploring all the technologies out there. We want to make sure that we're where the gamers are.
How about animations and graphics? You've definitely bumped that up. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we decided we need better animations in our game, so we went back and reanimated everything and added more to it. It was a huge undertaking. More than 12,000 animations were sped up by going in and looking at them and saying, hey, we don't need that frame. Hey, if we added this frame over here, it'll transition smoother. So lots of time, lots of man hours, lots of animators, just an army of animators working on this stuff. So yeah, we think the game runs faster, smoother. There's a lot more animations in the game. Cage positions are in the game. Sub positions are in the game. New submissions are in the game. New strikes are in the game. More individual fighter strikes are in the game. It's animations vastly improved.
Great. It looks really fun. When's it come out?
May 25th.
All right, we'll look for it May 25th. Thank you from Vegas.